It's time for the Denver Broncos, part 3 of this NFL thing. Yes, that used to be the Denver Broncos logo way back in the day before the Flaming Horse came along in 1997. The Denver Broncos were part of the AFL, true. They were wearing black, brown, and yellow garish outfits that you could only get in Madden video games nowadays. But the Denver Broncos were not really that proud. Yes, they played in a city that was a mile high above sea level. But the Broncos weren't really that big until the Orange Crush defense of 1977 happened. With this Orange Crush and with a surprise veteran quarterback performance by Craig Morton, the Denver Broncos went to the 1978 Super Bowl, aka Super Bowl 12. Denver shocked everyone by beating the Raiders in the conference finals, although it was in Denver. And Denver did get a benefit of the doubt call that Oakland actually had someone down at the goal line, but unfortunately they didn't call for it. And Denver then scored a touchdown. Practically, that call ruined the Raiders and made sure the Raiders didn't get to the Super Bowl because, as Al Davis said, Pete Rozelle would want nothing more than have the Raiders not get into his Super Bowl. Denver would go on to lose to the Dallas Cowboys at the Louisiana Super Bowl in the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, Craig Morton lost to his former team, the Dallas Cowboys, who basically decided to go Staubach over Morton, sold him to the Giants, who then sold him to the Broncos a couple years later. Denver would have a bit of notoriety with Mork and Minnie when Mork wanted to be a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. I mean, a Denver Broncos cheerleader. But in 1983, Denver made itself well known. Denver needed a quarterback, and so they decided to trade. I forget the guy's name. I would say Kubiak, but I'm wrong. So they traded the quarterback and a few other key players, including an offensive lineman, to the Baltimore Colts for John Elway. John Elway, of course, as we said, as I will probably iterate with the Colts, did not want to play for the Colts because of reasons. John Elway got a fresh start in the Mountain High air and helped Denver get to the 87, 88, and 90 Super Bowl. Or to you and me, Super Bowls 21, 22, and 24. Amazing how Denver could go 3 Super Bowls in 4 years and not even win. Pity, but the Buffalo Bills went to 4 straight Super Bowls and didn't win anything. So light a candle for them. So anyway, Denver surprisingly got to the Super Bowl. And the funny thing is, all 3 times it was at the expense of Cleveland in the conference championship game. Everyone knows about the conference final in 1987 when Broncos stopped Cleveland with the drive. Of course, that was when Denver had the ball down at their 2 yard line with 5:29 left, and they had to score a touchdown to tie the game. And John Elway led them on that thing. And Rich Karlis, barefooted, even though Cleveland had a cold surface, shocked everyone by kicking the game-winning field goal, even though it looked a little bit off, if you will, from one angle. Denver did get beaten by Phil Simms and the New York Giants in the Super Bowl because Phil Simms was robotic and 88% completion percentage will beat you every time. Undeterred, the Broncos did much better. They played Cleveland, but this time it was not in Cleveland. It was in Denver that the AFC final happened. And Cleveland was marching down the field to tie the game. Could they do to Denver what Denver did to them the previous year? Last year? Nope. Ernest Byner took a bad hit from Randy Lilly and fumbled the ball, and Denver got the ball back. Denver did take a safety to end the game, but, they had to. So Denver ended up winning the AFC title game. Denver would take on Washington, have a 10-0 lead. It's like, all right. And then Doug Williams, 5 touchdown passes. So anyway, yeah, they were beaten by Doug Williams and Timmy Smith. Denver came back in 1990 to get a Super Bowl spot at the expense of the Browns in Cleveland. This time it wasn't even close. Denver would be unprepared for Joe Montana. 55-10 Niners. Unbelievable. Can you believe it? The Niners crushed the Broncos. Like that. Denver, no momentum. Denver tried several times to try to get to the Super Bowl again in the 90s, but failed until 1998 when they took care of the Green Bay Packers in the Super Bowl. And finally, this one's for John. So, anyway, John Elway got a Super Bowl, but he came back the next year, and Denver was just as strong. I believe they started like what 11-0 in that year, or was it the year prior? But anyway, no, that was the year prior to that. When Denver looked hot, but John Elway got hurt. Bobby Brister actually helped Denver do pretty well. I think he was like 4-1 when Elway went down, something like that. So anyway, the Broncos ended up going all the way to the final. They got the Atlanta Falcons, beat the Falcons and the Dirty Birds 34-19. Although it's marred by the fact that Falcon safety Eugene Robinson got snatched by an undercover cop, and basically he was just not himself. Elway decides to retire on top this time. And unfortunately for Denver, no Super Bowl trips until 2016, when John Elway himself, as owner, decided to bring Peyton Manning into the fold and try to whip up the horses in shape. Peyton just did just that, leading the Broncos to the Super Bowl, beating the Carolina Panthers in the final, and ruining poor Cam Newton. I was cheering for him. 15-1, Carolina deserved to make the Super Bowl. So anyway, the Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl, and Peyton retired on top of the world. Denver had some near misses, including 2013 when they should have beaten the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round, but lost because double overtime. And of course, that play in the final minute when Jacoby Jones caught that long air pass from Joe Flacco. So anyway, the Broncos are a fine team, but one such chance eluded them. 1996. The Broncos were 13-3. They basically rested their players for a long time. And now they would be facing the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had to come from behind to take down the Buffalo Bills 30-27 in the wildcard game in Buffalo. So it's the Jaguars and the Broncos. Or as one newspaper wrote, the Broncos versus the Jagwads. They thought Jacksonville was not worthy of being on Denver's hollow field. Boy, did Mark Brunell prove everyone wrong. Brunell ran a lot, he passed a lot, and the Broncos shockingly lose 30-27 to the Jaguars. So the Jaguars, they're in their second year of existence, are going to the AFC title game. But thankfully for the Broncos, karma bit the Jaguars as the Patriots ended up going to the Super Bowl. And yes, the Patriots did go to the Super Bowl when Tom Brady was not even there. Drew Bledsoe was their star quarterback. And unfortunately, the Patriots ended up losing the Super Bowl to the Packers. Man, it could have been maybe a three-peat. But this loss actually had a silver lining, because the Denver Broncos removed themselves from that deep horse thing and into the flaming horse head, if you will. They changed the color from bright orange to blue and orange and white. And that helped. The Broncos' color change made them win the next two Super Bowls. So, basically, in this one, we will take out the Jacksonville Jaguars, saying that the Broncos won the game. Now, the Broncos would host the New England Patriots in 1997, because that's the team they would play. So, for reason. So, basically, the Patriots would have to go to Denver for the Super Bowl, and it would be cold. For a chance to go to the Super Bowl, and it'll be cold. Of course, we don't mess with the other conference, so the Packers will be waiting for whoever it is. So, here's the thing. If the Broncos don't win this game against the Patriots, then we will automatically assume that the Patriots real-life Super Bowl would happen. And, of course, that means the Packers win the Super Bowl. So the Broncos, for them to win this thing, they have to beat the Patriots and the Packers. We shall see. So, it is Patriots, it's Broncos for the chance to go to the 1997 Super Bowl at Mile High Stadium. And, wow, the Broncos got crushed at home. I gave them one chance. You had one goal, and you fouled it up 20-6. Can you believe it? The Patriots shut them down in the third and fourth quarters. Elam with a pair of field goals. Bledsoe to Coates, Vinatieri field goal. Bledsoe to Jefferson and Vinatieri. Drew Bledsoe really does his work. Amazing. Kumar to Curtis Martin ran the ball a lot. Receiving Jefferson with a touchdown, Ben Coates with a touchdown. How could John Elway not throw a touchdown in this game? 10 of 21 will do that to you. Bledsoe was only 17 for 23. Wow, this changes a lot. Vinatieri and Elam were perfect, but man, this is quick. Well, obviously, you know the Patriots took on the Broncos in the Super Bowl. I mean, the Patriots took on the Packers in the Super Bowl, so obviously the Packers win the Super Bowl. Sorry, Denver. That was quick. That was a little too quick. I didn't even think that it would be that quick. But what would I know? I just suck. That's all.